Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Last week, December 21st, 2015, it was reported that SpaceX, the private space company funded by billionaire Elon Musk, successfully sent a rocket into Earth's orbit before having it return and successfully land back on Earth. This happened for the first time in the history of the company, a major accomplishment. What I want to show in this video is how this event took place by the numbers and was also a major tribute to Apollo 8, the mission coming shortly before Apollo 11, the moon landing. In this video, we'll talk about the event from last week, the event from 47 years earlier to the day, Apollo 8, and the moon landing. And bringing it all together, what I want you to take away by the time we're done with this video is that the Freemasons have always controlled the space program and they have always operated by this numerological code, something I reveal daily with each of my postings. It's bigger than the space program. The Freemasons have a stranglehold on our government, our media, and the information that is presented to us, including the space program. So this date that the mission took place for SpaceX, December 21st, 2015, it was a date with 68 numerology. SpaceX, the company, has a gematria of 68, and in the year 1968, on December 21st, is when the Apollo 8 mission successfully took off. Apollo 8 launched December 21st, 1968, 47 years earlier to the day. Let's read the blurb about Apollo 8. The first flight to take men to the vicinity of the moon was a bold step forward in the development of a lunar landing capability, which occurred in Apollo 11, where Neil Armstrong supposedly walked on the moon. Notice the use of the word bold. The word bold has a gematria of 33. Think about the date December 21st, 1221, 12 plus 21, 33. The space program originally began March 3rd as NACA in 1915, later being turned into NASA, which we'll get to. Before we break this down further, I just want to acknowledge this clip from this video that is a tour of the Freemason Lodge in Washington, D.C. In this part of the video, they acknowledge that nearly every astronaut to ever travel into space has been a Freemason. And notice how astronauts wear the color orange, Truth Seeker. Orange is the only color with a gematria of 33. Listen carefully to what is said here.
I learned that almost all of our astronauts have been Freemasons.
He learned at the Freemason tour in D.C. that almost every astronaut has been a Freemason. And if you watch this video, which you can search for, there's a whole lot of 33 reported, which is no surprise because the Freemasons obsess over the number 33. So let's go back through last week's event, and then we'll go back through history, Apollo 8 and Apollo 11, cover a few more things as well, including the Apollo 13 near disaster. The headline from CNN was that SpaceX pulls off rocket landing, having gematria of 119, which is no coincidence. All-seeing eye and Star of David, important symbols coded on our money. Federal buildings has this gematria of 119. Think about what this number means for our nation, reminding us of the date September 11th. Elon Musk, earlier this year, Forbes said he was worth $11.9 billion. In science history, Nikola Tesla has named gematria of 119. He's credited with many amazing things. I very much think men such as Nikola Tesla and Elon Musk are essentially fronts for the government, for the powers that be, taking credit that really doesn't belong to them. Notice that Musk turned 44 years old this year. The word space equals 44. On his birthday, the rocket exploded. You might recall that story. I have a video on it. 44, often a number of death and destruction, so no surprise that the rocket exploded on his 44th birthday, a number also corresponding with space. The rocket last week was launched from Cape Canaveral. Think about CC-33. The other space station is Kennedy, which has gematria of 33. Notice that Cape Canaveral has gematria of 48. The launch also took place on a date with 48 numerology. The space program in history was started on a date with 41 numerology. Last week's launch date had a life lesson number of 41, an important number to the nation, which we'll talk more about. The rocket last week that successfully landed on Earth was a Falcon 9 having gematria of 33, a lot like the date, December 21st, 12 plus 21, the Freemason number of obsession. Again, this mission came on the 47-year anniversary of Apollo 8, which had a lot to do with landing and figuring out how to land on the moon. This mission was about having to get a rocket back landing successfully on Earth. His company, Space Exploration Technologies Company, its acronym SETC, has gematria of 47, like the number of years between Apollo 8 and the Falcon 9 landing of last week. Going back in history, NASA was officially created July 29th, 1958. Starting with the year 58, the word Freemasonry has gematria of 58. That date has numerology of 113. The branch of Freemasonry that dominates our government in the space program is Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Scottish has gematria of 113. So do the words mainstream, dishonest, and green screen. And NASA has no doubt been used to give we the people a false understanding of the world we live in, providing bogus information that is based on mathematics, numbers, and numerology. Think about that in terms of the words mainstream, dishonest, and green screen, a tool that can be used to give us false images, which NASA does. The date the program began also has numerology of 59. This number is often connected to 44. They're both numbers that are connected to the word kill through gematria. And perhaps in a sense, they have used information about space to literally destroy, kill our understanding of this world we live in. That's theory. I'm not saying that's why it was established on that date. I think it mostly has to do with this 113 number, but the additional coding could be true as well. As for 41, it's the 13th prime number. Think about this nation, which began with 13 colonies. USA in gematria equals 41, the 13th prime. Words such as lock and key both equal 41. Home equals 41, an important number. We'll talk about Apollo 13 in just a little bit, that launched at 1313 military time on a very curious date as well. The gematria of those words, the mathematics behind them. In history, NACA, which became NASA, was launched March 3rd, 1915. 3-3. Lot like 33. I have shown in other videos how our language, our calendar, and gematria are all synced up and likely all creations of the Freemasons. March 3rd is the 62nd day of the year on the calendar. The word Mason equals 62. Likely not a coincidence. Again, astronauts wear orange, the only color with 33 gematria. Earlier this year, there was a Falcon 9 rocket launch that failed on landing. That mission took place April 14th, 2015, a date with 33 numerology. What else? Again, it was the Falcon 9 that successfully landed last week. Some headlines from November of this year, not long ago. Debris from failed SpaceX launch found 4,000 miles away off British Isle. And look at what they tell us, Truth Seeker. The object measured 33 feet by 13 feet. You see, the obsession with these numbers. Reporting based on false information, putting these numbers before our eyes again and again. In history, the Russians sent the first object to space, supposedly September 13th, 1959. There's that year, or that number 59. I'll talk about what this date has to do with Freemasonry in just a moment. In case you're not aware, I have shown in many other videos the connection between Russia and the United States of America. Think about how it used to be the United States of Soviet Russia, United States of America, the two nations with nuclear programs and space programs. I very much think from my research, from my study, that the United States and Russia are very much governed by the same entities who rule over this earth, and they use false division between the nations, kind of using them as left arm versus right arm, building up their agenda, such as the nuclear program and the space program. The divisions between the nations are false. They're really two entities working for the same bosses, with the same goals in mind. Anyhow, the United States would answer nearly a decade later by putting the first man on the moon, supposedly July 20th, 1969. This was a date with 96 numerology and also a date with 115 numerology, just like the date JFK was assassinated, November 22nd, 1963. And remember, it was JFK who first said the United States would put a man on the moon. The word Freemason equals 96. The ranging degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry are 31, 32, 33. When you add those numbers together, it sums to 96. As for a decade earlier, what Russia did, putting it on the moon September 13th, which in most parts of the world, including Russia, is in 13/9, the word Freemasonry, the big way, equals 139. In history on this date, Tupac Shakur supposedly also died. Tupac Shakur equals 139. Remember, the Freemasons control a lot more than the space program. They control governments, media, Hollywood, record studios, sports leagues. We are living in a Freemason creation of a world right now, which is what I'm trying to get people to wake up to.